Welcome to Podsongs, where we interview inspirational people in service to others as inspiration for a new song. Today's guest is Kyle Cease, an actor, comedian, and motivational speaker. And my musical collaborator is American singer-songwriter Doe Paoro. Oh, hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
I can, loud and clear.
Oh, good.
Your music's so fantastic, though. I just want to say, so super
Oh,
excited
thank
to be
you.
able to collaborate with you on this track. It's a track which I don't know what it will be, but
I know, me too.
yeah.
I'm also excited, and Kyle and I have the same birthday, so I'm weirdly excited about that.
Right. Yeah, and you just done ayahuasca as well.
Yeah, I
How
did
was
a
that?
whole retreat. Oh, I've been do you work with ayahuasca? Have you done?
I never
Have
have,
you?
but many of my friends have. I don't think it's quite right for me, but
Yeah, yeah. You would know if it was. You'd probably be feeling the call of some sort.
yeah.
But yeah, I've been working with the plants for like 10 years in that way, and with ayahuasca. So this is just another shade of that journey. But I'm hoping that Kyle maybe would want to share on that, or I'm
Sure.
definitely
He sounds
gonna
like
ask.
he sounds like he's really into it. I mean, he's definitely gone through the level of awakening that he is at. He's really super passionate about it. I think you don't. That kind of sounds like he's done some serious plant work.
Some journeying.
Mm. Yeah, a friend of mine just did. He's super into it. Actually, the first guest on this series on Podsongs was an ayahuasca. Um, he was an American guy, but he was a shaman. But he organizes the tours and he sends people to Peru. And yeah,
Mm.
he it really helped him with his trauma. And my friend had a lot of trauma as well from his childhood, and nothing, no amount of therapy he said would have transformed him the way the ayahuasca did. And he actually did lots of other stuff. He did a lot of afterwards. He did these really frog venom and things like that, which are
Oh yeah, combo.
right
Been there. Yeah.
the
Or maybe
strongest.
bufo. Maybe he did bufo. I don't know.
It was the strongest hallucinogenic there is in the world.
Oh, it's probably bufo then. Yeah, I haven't experimented with that one, but
Like he was going. I mean, you would not believe the stories he told me about. I mean, can't divulge them,
really.
but yeah, just incredible trips into the spirit world and psychic experiences and telepathy with the person next to him, and um, deep trauma was brought out from his body, like
Mm,
incredible transformation.
yeah. I mean, it's pretty outstanding, like what is possible, and
Yeah.
um, this world is just like such a great mystery, and I feel like the plants like allow people to have that experience directly, and I don't know. I feel like so thankful that this, whatever this moment is with this revolution of these like basically ancient technologies suddenly being available to the Western world is like an essential part of the healing that needs to take place of just like reconnecting to the human nature connection, non separation.
Mm.
Because once you work with the plant in that way, especially if you don't have that natural sense of connection with nature, like you can't help but like suddenly treat it more respectfully.
Mm.
So I think it's a big shift in consciousness. It's so
Yeah.
needed.
Opens a huge door in your mind. I imagine, like you can't deny that we're more than the physical. Once you've had an experience like that, can you?
Hmm. Yeah, and especially like for people at the end of their life who are like sort of, I don't know, I think a lot of times I see people who aren't of like a faith or a spirituality, like they get this huge grief as like they're aware that their life is ending.
Mm.
Understandably, either way, whether you're faith or not, I'm sure that's a huge grief. But it's like believing that there's something else that's more mysterious. I think is an answer to that in some ways. To being like, oh, I don't know, I don't.
Mm.
there could be a lot more to this whole thing. And that's another like thing that I think it could offer people who have maybe not don't have that natural connection.
Yeah, I spoke to a lot of professors on this podcast, and
Seems like
people.
it.
Yeah, a lot of people. I remember when I sent you the list, you said you picked Carl because the list was so intimidating. You know, all these
Oh my
lecturers,
God.
and yeah,
So many brilliant people. And not that
yeah.
he isn't, but I was just like, wow, like this is got a little out of my league with some of
No,
it.
well, it turned out really well. You made a great choice. I mean, chatting to a I try and when I try and fact chat to physicists, I try and, for example, try and make try and the consciousness versus, the mind is inside the mind and all this, and I'll try and make it, try and argue in a very unarticulate way, as you can see, that we're more than that. Consciousness continues, through the lives, and we are more than this, and
Hmm.
but yeah, not really getting through to many on that in that respect. Yeah.
You haven't been able to get through.
No, I guess someone said you can't fill a glass that's already full. So yeah,
Yeah. God, that's so true.
I think
I know.
the materialistic message is the problem underlying all the, you can you can be, you know Black Lives Matter or all these movements for the good, and but if you're arguing against the materialistic world with a materialistic message, I think there's a spiritual energy crisis, not a. You can't. You have to use something not of this world to get through.
Oh, totally, totally. I mean, that's definitely what I found, and it's like it's an Einstein quote or something. You can't solve a problem with the same consciousness it was created in, something like that.
Right,
It's
that's a good one. Yeah.
misquoted it, but it's true. Like, we need something extreme that's going to be like, you
Mm.
think you know everything? Here's squash. Like,
And you're doing it with your music, yeah. You're doing these. Yeah. Were you doing chakra music, or was that the right? Or the...
I was, yeah. That was like the only thing I couldn't think of any songs to make during quarantine. I was like, I heard a lot of artists talking about this. There was like nothing in the air. Um, and I was like, okay, I've been wanting to make like just a really simple meditation record, especially like I teach a course that uses those mantras, those chakra mantras to help. It's a vocal course, and we use those mantras. So I've been wanting to make like a recording for my students.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I use it in the class too.
Okay. So you teach
Yeah,
online, or people can?
yeah, I'm teaching it online. I'm teaching the next one on May 11th, but it's been amazing. This is the fifth one I've taught. I only expected to teach one, but kind of like Costa Rica, it's like it's been a really like meaningful way for me to share the voice and connect on the voice.
Mm.
It's basically like a psycho spiritual singing course
Wow.
for people who have vocal trauma or like artists who are just like totally traumatized by the industry and want to get back to the space of like authentically sharing their voice, not from this like performative ego space, but from just like a genuine connection with the singing.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'm really into
Yeah.
that too. I had these singing teachers. They're from Italy.
Hmm.
Well, no, they're American, but they moved to Italy, and they're opera singers, but they teach a way of singing that is much more natural, because all the opera singers, they push on their tone, and many
Mm-hmm.
singers, so you can get more of, when you push on your tone, it comes in out of the mouth, and now I'm talking through the nose, so then when
Uh-huh.
when I'm more relaxed, I'm speaking. My tone is inside my body. I'm nicer to listen to. But when I get nervous, I go out up. So, and a lot of people speak by pushing their tone. So, and that causes the vocal damage.
Mm. Yeah, it's so interesting, like the way the voice just reveals what's happening inside,
Yeah, yeah,
even if it's like that, like speaking from this other space out of anxiety or like, and the opposite can be true. I think you can really hack your anxiety by being like, okay, I'm anxious, but I'm going to speak from this space. And like, it just naturally feels better.
yeah. It does. The vibration now is when I put my hand here on my chest and I speak properly. It's nicer. I feel more. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when I
How
go
are the
through the
podcasts
day.
going? Oh, sorry.
Ah, yeah, they're going well. I'm almost up to 100 now. So
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
Wow. When did you start?
Well, I started recording in July, but I released. It's 3 month delay, so I'm releasing. Started officially. I launched in November, and then this
Mm,
episode will come out in the early summer. So, but
wow.
yeah, I'm full steam ahead. No, nothing holding me
I
back.
know. That's quite impressive.
Yeah, we're up to it's 10 songs a month we're averaging. So
Oh my goodness.
yeah,
Are you doing this full time then?
yeah, absolutely.
That seems like a full time gig.
Oh,
I'm like, I don't
absolutely.
know how
Yeah.
you would have time for anything else.
There's nothing. As my girlfriend, there's no time for anything else.
Yeah, 10 songs a month. I'm like, I can't, 1, 2 songs a month is can sometimes feel like a full time gig.
But it's super motivating when you've got because I write the song straight after the interview.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, what's your process like with that? With the songwriting process around it?
yeah, just whatever's inspired after the it's channeled straight the way through. It comes out. If I had to go and write it a few days later, it wouldn't really work. So that's and then sometimes I can demo it straight away, and that's it. It's done. I give it to some musicians, and then they add on a lot of color. And then afterwards I re-sing it at the end. So I don't do any
Wow.
of the I don't do any of the MIDI on top.
Are you playing it on guitar then when you send
Yeah, I
out the
play on the
demo?
guitar. Yeah.
It's so cool. And you're doing everything, I'm guessing, remotely
Yeah,
in
all
terms of like,
remotely.
bringing in other musicians.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We meet together with the Italian musicians once a week. Although now we're in a red zone, so we
Are
can't.
you?
Yeah, we're
Remind me
not
where in Italy you are right now?
under the Amalfi Coast, so opposite
Oh,
Cilento. Yeah, very
oh,
beautiful area.
so dreamy.
Yeah, yeah, it's very nice. You're in Costa Rica. What are you telling me?
I know, but the come on, Amalfi Coast is like, it's like life is a honeymoon. I'm
Yeah, but
thinking
it's
of it.
full of Americans in the Amalfi Coast. You can't.
You
Have you
can't
been?
avoid. I went. I used to date a person who lived in Gorizia.
Okay.
Are you familiar with Gorizia?
Rings a bell, but I'm not sure exactly where that is.
It's weird. It's like the least Italy part of Italy. It's northern Italy, near um, why am I spacing us?
Oh well, the
Slovakia,
north. The
Slovenia.
north is not. Yeah,
The north,
that's not
the north. Don't
Italy.
put me on that part. But
The
like,
south. The south.
anyways, but yeah. So I've been all over Italy, and I'm going to Amalfi Coast, and it's quite beautiful, and obviously also quite touristy.
Yeah, yeah. There's that one road that's just buses getting stuck in the tunnels together, and yeah,
Yeah, no
go there. You
bueno.
can go there out of season, and it's nice to cycle along as well. But no, I'm opposite, so I'm in a national park area that's opposite, and yeah, it's really unknown. Very
Mm,
beautiful, yeah. But I'm only got lucky because I met a girl. She brought me here, so
Italian,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
very lucky.
yeah. Well, anyone can mean it. If you land in Napoli, if you're ever having low self-esteem as a girl like my girlfriend says, if I'm ever bad with her, she's going to just go for a walk around Napoli because you get like 3 marriage proposals before when you walk from the terminal to the bus.
That's a good hack to know. I mean, that's kind of like the essence of that eat, pray, love, right?
Oh
It's
yeah,
like
it's a
you
good
went
ego
right there.
boost to walk around Napoli. Yeah, if you're a single lady, yeah.
Oh
But
man.
yeah, Napoli's crazy, completely
Yeah.
different
Well,
world.
it seems
Yeah,
like you've got your whole studio set up there, at least.
yeah.
I'm like looking
I'm in
at
a
your
padded
wall of
room. Yeah, it's my
your
old
padded
meditation
wall.
room, and I've turned it. I'm in a cupboard in Italy, talking to all these people around the world. So
You'd have no idea. It looks like a huge space.
no, it's tiny. This is it. I'm stretching my arms out. Yeah,
Oh wow.
but technology, and also COVID, because everyone's in lockdown. Doesn't matter where I am. I mean, we're speaking in incredible in real time now, and
It's
you're in Costa
insane.
Rica and I'm in Italy. I mean, there's
I've
no
had to like
delay.
really remind myself in these moments of frustration where the internet isn't working. I'm like, whether it's teaching my class, I'm like, I'm getting to be on the internet
Yeah,
in live time from the jungle. Like this is actually a modern miracle.
yeah, yeah. It is
It's
incredible.
like staying in appreciation of that.
So tell me more about it then. So what are you going to do? So you have to work on another record, yeah, I'm presuming.
Yeah, I'm gonna work on another record probably when I get back. Although I'm starting to like kind of put some pieces together and
How do you write? You write on the...
yeah, guitar, and a lot of the songs I want to do for this next record are actually like covers of um, kind of songs in these medicine, these like ayahuasca medicine circles and some mantras and just different songs that I find really healing. And that's sort
Mm.
of my dominant inquiry right now with music. It's like how can it heal? So I'm going to be working on that and curious, like, yeah, can I do this from here? I guess the production aspect is a little bit intimidating to me because I've usually
There's
go
no
into a studio with a
musicians, a
producer.
studio down there, or...
There are some in like San Jose. I'm not really super dialed into the musical community here yet.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's the only thing. I'm pretty much a lone wolf with it.
Because it's a
I
lot
know
cheaper
there's,
down there, you know?
I know that's the thing. It's a lot everything down here.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Like literally last time I planned on going home when I told you I went back for 10 days. I planned on going back for good. And yeah, I stayed for 10 days. So anything could happen at this point. Um, sorry, you said something about recording at
Yeah,
Justin
just some of your
Vernon?
your recording experiences you produced with Jimmy
Yeah.
Hogarth, who did...
Yeah, I was over in London, which was so amazing.
Yeah.
Such a great music city. Um, that was one of my favorite recording experiences ever. And then I recorded my second record in Justin Vernon's studio, and my first one I did just like in my friend's apartment in Brooklyn, as one does. A proper a proper story in that way, a music recording story.
And tell me also about what in Tibet when you were learning this singing style over there. How did that work out?
So that was really an act of, it was just fate, the hand of fate, truly. I was in India and I was just traveling through. I got my yoga certification. I was kind of like trying to figure out what my next step was. Unfortunately, at the same time as Eat, Pray, Love came out, so I was just getting so many like jokes.
Ah.
Um, yeah, I got lost. It doesn't sound like a real story, but it is. I got lost on a hike with a friend, and then we heard this wild, angelic singing, and I was like, "Can we go follow that voice? I need to understand what's happening here." And end up at the Tibetan Institute for Performing Arts in Dharamsala, India, which is where the Dalai Lama lives, and
Oh
there's a
yeah,
lot
yeah,
of
that's famous.
huge Tibetan population. Have you been there?
No, but another friend has been there.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's like right in the mountains, and you just. So I was like, I need to learn this. I don't know. This is like the first time I've been this inspired by singing
Wow.
in a long time.
So how is
So
it?
I
What
just
is it?
started. I stayed.
Yeah, what is it? How is it different? I mean, is it
How's
more
it the
chanting
sound?
or yeah?
I'll just sing a little bit so you can hear it. It's like it's like in these really high,
Gosh.
yeah, like angel tones.
Oh, okay. Wow.
It's super ethereal and like to sing up there, you have to be able to like raise that breath really high. Like when I'm singing in that space, I'm feeling it like at the very top of like through my head somehow.
Oh.
So singing it just kind of puts you in this very interesting, like meditative, clearing space.
Because I read on Wikipedia your the vocal range of a contralto, which is that's a much deeper voice than that's the lowest female voice, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. And I don't understand much because I'm like super self trained with music, and I have no technical understanding of it. It's all quite been like it's like a quilt of patchwork, like trial and
Hey,
error.
I just know the Italian words. I don't pretend to.
But yeah, I've been told that I have a lower voice for
Right.
singing, and I think I do.
Yeah, yeah. So you can really do the complete range then if you're doing that sort of stuff as well. I mean,
I
wow.
guess so. Yeah, I'm not sure what my range is. Do you know what your range is?
I'm a deep voice, yeah. Contrabass.
You
Yeah.
contrabass.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think so. I think that's right.
I never heard that before.
Yeah. I can get to when I'm doing I do mantra as well, and I had my
Oh,
tuning on my
nice.
phone, and I could see, because I get very low in the morning, because your energy, it's the best time to do it, isn't it? It's super deep. I could get almost to a
Mm-hmm.
D, a low D, which is,
Oh.
yeah, really like a deep whale sound. Yeah.
The whale sound. I was actually reading in this dorky bird identifying book that I was reading, and that sound travels the best in the morning for some reason.
Right. Right.
Um, Now I'm forgetting on the reason why, but just something in the environment that, and it, yeah, it makes, that's why the birds are trying to send most of their messages in, I guess, because they
Well,
can come across more.
I'm super into the mantra, and because I got into metaphysics when I was in India, and yeah,
Mm,
the power of mantra, um,
wow.
of sound
Right.
is. I haven't had any. I haven't. I tried practicing like almost 2 hours myself by kind of, keeping up a practice is tough. But I know people that have done it, and they really got super elevated through the practice.
Yeah. I have a question about the interview? Am I supposed to like introduce him in any way?
No, no,
Okay, cool. Because I don't know anything about. This is the
sure,
first
sure.
time I've done anything like this.
And you also did some Vipassana, yeah?
Yes. Have you done Vipassana?
Yeah,
Oh wow, it's so nice. So nice to meet other people who are also landing in these
it's like a
other
badge of
musicians
honor.
landing in these practices. Yeah, family,
the
spirit family.
the 10 days practice 10-day Goenka retreats.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I've done so many of those,
Oh wow.
and I need a lot more probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, are you practicing regularly, or what's your meditation practice?
I'm more doing pranayama now because I've only got so much time to practice, so I'm kind of concentrating on pranayama at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But I tried to do, yeah, I think I did 2 or 3 retreats and served on 2. Um,
Oh wow, yeah, serving is its own
Serving was
medicine, right?
much better. Yeah, I really preferred serving.
I really like serving too. I
Yeah.
was surprised how much I enjoyed it.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah.
For me, it's like it's a better integration in some ways because you get
Sure.
to work out, like you get pissed off at someone in the kitchen and you get to immediately meditate and like see how
It's
that
like the
works.
perfect day. Yeah, you get to be of service to others, and then you get enforced meditation time as well, and
Uh,
I loved it.
yeah, me too.
The Vipassana itself was quite tough. I just experienced a lot of pain, and I haven't conquered the voice in the head in any way. So I had to
Mm,
live with him for that time. Was difficult.
yeah, yeah. Vipassana is not. It's not definitely not easy.
But you've done both, because I kind of feel that some of the plant medicine it's maybe my prejudice is kind of like a shortcut.
Yeah,
The real practices that the yogis do, is like you wouldn't get a yogi taking hallucinogens, because they lose control of the mind, so they're all about it's more disciplined. What you've done both, so what's your feeling?
yeah. I've done both, and I've been in this inquiry for a while. Like, how do they work
Hmm.
together? How can they work together? And I
Right.
ultimately feel like they can work together because
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
there are some things that Vipassana like for some people that they're like so their own psychology is so inaccessible to them,
Right.
um and they're like years of Vipassana might not get to these sort of things that ayahuasca will just be like like clear it out. At the
Sledgehammer.
same
Yeah.
time, yeah, ayahuasca is like, okay, this memory that's like limiting the way you're totally interacting with the world, I'm going to bring consciousness to it. At the same time, I have seen some people who are doing ayahuasca like become quite ungrounded from it.
Right.
So to me, if I had to choose one, I would choose Vipassana because it feels like it's steady, consistent path, reliable, time trusted to the truth and
Hmm.
to in a grounded way that is not putting your mental health at risk.
Right.
That is available and accessible to all. So and I think Vipassana is a really amazing way to integrate. ayahuasca, because ayahuasca can just like be quite destabilizing
Right.
in a way that I believe is ultimately for your good. Like if it destabilizes something, in the long scheme, I've seen that work out for people's benefit. But in the moment, it can sort of help you. Like it can be that you lose your grounding if you don't have a proper integration around it.
Wow, that's super interesting. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, I have a friend who just called me. Actually, he's really deep in this inquiry. He's an artist. And he wanted to talk about it recently because he practices Vipassana and he did ayahuasca, and he's just like, I really am interested in plant medicines. I want to be open to them, but I feel like there's so much woo in the
Mm.
community,
Mm.
and it's turning me off. That the lamas aren't doing ayahuasca. Like, what's
Yeah.
the answer? How can like Buddhism intersect with plant medicines, and do they intersect? And I don't know. I'm in the listening. There's definitely some people in the Buddhist sphere who are higher teachers that are working with plant medicines now.
Oh yeah.
And but yeah, and like I'm really interested in those teachers actually. I know a few who are like either working on the shamanic side or working more as like teachers of Buddhism,
Okay.
and who are kind of like, this is a way for us to like, we're in a space now where we can bring both of these together, and the Dharma is
Mm.
the core is the Dharma. Um, that to me feels like the future of how I'm interested in pursuing the work.
Okay. Yeah, I guess if you look at it, yeah, medicine. So this is something I do, and so I've got my daily practice, but this is something I do just to break through at certain times.
Yeah, breakthrough. And I also think like if you're progressing with Vipassana, it's like, and it's going well, and it's going well with medication, there might not be any need for ayahuasca.
Okay.
I think people go like a lot of people turn to ayahuasca when they're like, well, some people are just curious, but then there's a lot of people who are like, okay, I've tried everything else and I haven't been able to help me.
Yeah.
So I'll do
Yeah.
anything. And then they
Sure.
end up at like crawling into the shaman circle in ayahuasca or whatever.
I guess it's horses for courses. Yeah. If it really works for some people, and for some people, this shouldn't condemn it or judge or say what's best, because yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, that you've done both, so you're in a real position to. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe in both, and I also think, yeah, I think one is definitely steadier than the other though.
Yeah. 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 Interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's interesting, like when I first started working with ayahuasca, there wasn't much about it in popular culture. At
Ten
least
years
people were
ago. Yeah.
talking about it. Yeah, very shy topic for obvious reasons. And like I was, yeah, over the pandemic, I was just flipping channels, and I flipped to ESPN of all state. I don't even watch TV. I think I was in a hotel room, and it was just like, I need to like zone out. And it was ESPN, and they were talking about ayahuasca with athletes. So it's quite interesting. Hello.
Hi, is
Hello,
this?
Carl.
I think I was on the wrong link before, so sorry about that. I hit the second link. This is
Oops.
probably not riveting for it.
How's it going?
So good. How are you guys?
So good.
Great.
Awesome.
So this is I haven't got a string of questions for you here. It's not like a job interview. It's just like, if you came around to my house for dinner, my girlfriend wouldn't say, but what am I going to ask him? She'd say, what are you going to eat? So there's no worry about what we're going to discuss. And
So you're gonna ask me what I'm gonna eat?
well, I know you're. I've heard that you're in a raw vegan at the moment, which she would not like you to come round for dinner.
No,
No, that would be a nightmare for her.
well, that's all right. I mean, I'm looking forward to meeting you guys in person, but I'll just bring my own
All right.
food.
So you're bringing your own food. All right. I'll
Yeah,
tell her. Okay.
yeah. Let her know,
Okay.
and but thank her anyway. And well, if she makes something, I'll take it out of the house and make her think that I'm gonna eat it.
Okay. You'll take the food away. Will you bring your own
Yeah.
Tupperware, or should we provide?
No, I'll just use my hands.
Okay. She.
Yeah,
All right. That's a little strange. Okay.
yeah.
All right. But we'll.
Oh, is this the part? podcast? Is this the show?
We're into the show. I've already deep into the show now. And the show is that we have to write a song inspired by you and your ideas. So this is all on you.
I can't tell what level of the fourth wall we're breaking.
This is so yes and. This is so yes and.
Okay.
Yeah. But that was a new level of yes and I am in confusion during this, but it's also part of it, I guess. Like I'll join in confusion.
This is great. I can use all of this material. This is fantastic.
So I'm joining on an already going podcast because it's showing me recording 41 minutes and stuff.
You're late.
Maybe
You're
someone
late.
could let me know.
No. Sonia.
Okay,
so let me introduce you to Sonia, who is
Hi, Sonia.
stage name Doe Paoro, and so every episode of Podsongs I have a guest musician, and today it's Sonia. She's in Costa Rica,
Okay.
but she lives in LA, but she's from New York, and so she's going to help me create a song inspired by your work, and we need to focus in on what it exactly is, because there's many different things. I've been following that transformational money documentary could be a good angle to go in. We can talk about that, or your Evolving Out Loud project. It's whatever you would like to preserve forever in song.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
And you are for sure recording this. We aren't you. There's no like, okay, are you ready to go, Kyle? Here we are. It's like this is
It's kind of
this is the show.
Yeah, it's kind of a fluid thing because I don't have much time for editing, so I prefer to go for this is it now. We're in the moment, and you're all about the moment. So let's just be in the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just sometimes when I come on, they go, okay, Kyle, are you ready? And then we start. I didn't know this is the show.
Oh.
This is the actual show.
This is it. We're in the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, here we go.
Yeah.
It's an interesting experiment of not having the initiation into the show.
I think people like to hear it as well. The most interesting part, is in the green room, hearing the people talk. The unpolished stuff. So I kind of I like it raw.
So they got the riveting footage of me not knowing if my mic worked.
Yeah. Well, it's real life. It's real. It's real,
Yeah.
Carl. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So.
Well, I kind of like the dead air for a second, like, because it's got more information than me.
Right.
You know what I mean? The space around us has way more info. In fact, the space is where I'm getting my information. So most podcasts don't have any dead air. I'm totally fine with that. We're just kind of starting here. I mean, it's a great way to acclimate. Like the space that is around me is the same one that's around you guys. So we could just hear and allow, 'cause so much is trying to unfold right now. I actually like your format now that I'm used to it, now that I understand it.
Thank you.
Right.
That's praise indeed from a man of you've been in show business for 20. You've done every format imaginable. So, yeah.
I've been doing it since I was 12, actually.
Yeah. I should just we should set the scene for people that maybe I've got listeners all around the world. So maybe some haven't heard about you before, but I kind of did a bit of a spiel before when you weren't here. But maybe you could introduce yourself a little bit and say how you got to what you're doing now, which is so interesting.
Yeah. Well, I was a stand-up comedian starting at 12. I did a lot of teen movies, 10 Things I Hate About You, Not Another Teen Movie, a lot of TV appearances. Flew to California and had an amazing comedy career from 20 to probably 31, headlining comedy clubs, had 2 Comedy Central specials. And then I went through a shift, and the basic essence of the shift is the leaving of the lie that everyone is in. I believe we're all in a lie that says, when something happens, I'll be happy. Like it doesn't matter what it is. It's whether when I finally get money, when I let go of this job, when we get over our chaos now, when we can finally take the masks off, when the lockdowns are done, when that person finally likes me, when I get the divorce, then I'll be happy. And then when we get the thing, we just go, what's next? Because we're not moving from the frequency of the now, we're moving from the frequency of then. And so even when the circumstances change to how we want them, we're still in the body going, I need. And the revelation I had was that's not true. When something happens, I'll be happy. What resonates with me much more is when I'm happy, things will happen. And
Can I ask a quick question then? Was there a particular moment that happened? Because we've just been talking about ayahuasca, from a long conversation with Sonia, who's just done it. What was your light bulb moment?
It was when I started doing kind of motivation in the comedy world and showing comedians that they could do this. And then I would hear through the grapevine that different comics that weren't coming were attacking me. You know, he's this positive guy. He must be a Scientologist or a cult leader or something like that. And I had just said to the guy I was working with, Louis Anderson, the famous comedian, I said, I really want to get over what people think about me. And then right after I said that, this was like 11 years ago, but a dark comic wrote a blog about me, attacking me. And it was just totally spelling out why I must be scamming people. I wasn't even making $1 doing it. And then comics started sharing it and it went viral. So I said, I want to get over what people think about me. And it's like the universe was like, okay, are you ready? I'm going to make it out of your control and I'm going to make everyone have an opinion of you. And so for 6 days, I sat in a hotel and just watched for the first 4 days as my mind tried to overcome and figure out what to do and prove them wrong and have another number one thing. And on day 4, I noticed that my mind was going, what if we do this? What if we do this? What if we do this? And I had been just sitting on a bed for 4 days trying to save my life while I wasn't actually in danger, right? Like every second is me in a fight or flight kind of thing. So on day 4, I noticed my thoughts were like doing this. What if we do this? And I suddenly was the one sitting on the bed looking at the thoughts. And that was the moment that I realized I'm not my thoughts. I'm not my past. I'm not my accomplishments. I'm not my problems. I'm not my story. Everything fell apart. And I just felt freedom like I'd never felt it. I was like staring at a wall for 5 hours and just totally free. And I broke out of some kind of mental lie that says I have to get to the other side of something. And then I started this process where instead of life being about motivation, I started to see what would happen if I let go of everything in my life that just feels not in alignment, right? Like there's so many things we keep in our life that aren't in our highest alignment. Like if you're in a relationship that feels like it's pulling you down, you're in a job that you don't like, if you're just eating bad food, if you're these other things, like there's a you that is free of that available, and we don't know what's on the other side of it. So what I decided to do then, and by the way, I know I've mentioned raw vegan already. This isn't a plug for raw vegan or anything, but
that's okay.
When I was a kid, I realized I got a lot more love from my family at restaurants. Like we connected a lot more at restaurants. And because of that, I associate love to food. Like my parents were more spaced out in the house, but at like a restaurant, they weren't near their office or anything. So I had their attention. So I decided to go 90 days raw vegan. And I said, I want to know what would happen if I stayed on it. If I eat one cooked thing or an animal product, I'll give away $10,000. This is my way of like locking myself there. And I was thinking this was about getting really healthy, and it was, but it became the birth of a million other breakthroughs. And what happened was I get to like day 30, my body was getting so healthy and clear. Someone walked by me with a hot dog, and all I smelled was like chemicals and metal. Like it was like my taste buds changed. I could, everything was different. So I started going, what else can I change? Can I change my habits? Can I change my entire perception of reality? Right? So I then said, what else feels heavy? So I said, okay, no Facebook for a while and no social media. And the weird thing is, I know that we can all justify why you should keep something, right? Like, oh, I should keep Facebook because I can market myself, or I can advertise, or I can answer emails from people. I have a rule in myself that if I'm justifying why I should keep something, then I shouldn't have it in my life. Because I have a daughter who's 3 and she's an angel, and there's no part of me that says, well, she gets good medical, so I'll keep her as my daughter. Or she was nice to me that one time, so I'll keep being her dad, right? The things that are in alignment with you, you would never explain to someone else. The reason we explain to someone else why we keep something is because we're ignoring our heart, and we need to bring our mind in to make sense out of why we're ignoring our heart. So we do know what it's like to be like, I hate this job, but I'll get a promotion later. That person treats me terribly, but they bought me a nice dinner once. These are the justification world that we live in. And if we keep that in our life, what I find is we're getting more into our head, right? Like, because you need to be in your head to justify why you're ignoring your soul. So I let go of Facebook. Then I started going for a while, no dating. And I just felt myself like ascending out of this neediness plane and this addicted plane. And not only was I free of it, but it was also being replaced by really weird synchronicities, an amazing amount of abundance coming in, total freedom, and like everything in the world started mirroring my ascension out of this thing. And on day 45 or so, I was with my friend Diego, and I said, he was doing kind of the raw vegan with me and filming a lot of this. And I said into a camera, I was about to do a comedy club on the road. And I noticed that my vibration about it was like, ugh, I got to get on the road. So I was like, it's not a 10 anymore. I don't want to do it. Like, it doesn't align with me. So I had to keep letting go of the things that were heavy. And I realized the only reason we stress when we let go of something is because your mind can only measure what you will lose. It can't see what you will gain. So whenever you're letting go of something, you're only sad because you can tangibly measure that you're letting go of, that relationship, but you're also creating space for a way better one, or you're letting go of this job, but you're creating space for a higher alignment of creativity or whatever else. So I decided we were filming then, and I looked into the camera and I said, I'm officially done doing comedy clubs on the road. Like, it was crazy because I was now letting go of what was my entire dream career. And it had become really big. It was really good. Everything was great. And I still decided my body was telling me, move based on faith and move based on your feeling and let go of this. The next week, I would have been at a comedy club and I would have performed probably for a week and made somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000. But instead I was at home. And because I had let go of these things, I'm now on an alignment that I'm no longer, I'm even bigger than these stories. I'm bigger than like my dream career. What I am in this moment is bigger than what I used to think that I was to be something. And this created space for my body to be even more open and magical. And at one point my body said, what if we combine comedy and like transformation in this unique way? And I literally heard my ego say, well, the way you want to do it, I don't think anyone's ever done that. And then my soul was like, yeah, no one's ever done that. What if you combine comedy and transformation? You'd have your own field. You could literally do comedy that's transformational. You could go speak at the comedy at the seminars. You could do corporate parties. You could do the lecture circuits at colleges. It's at your own field. And so I had performed as a stand-up at a lot of colleges. And what I decided to do that week was make about 500 videos for the bookers of the lecture circuits at colleges by name. So they literally have videos where I'm sitting there going, hey, this is for Diane Johnson at North Idaho University. This is Kyle Cease. And they were kind of shocked I said their name. And these other comedians were saying to me, what are you doing? You could be at a comedy club right now. You're crazy. And then 100 of the colleges said yes at a way higher rate. It was almost 10,000, around 10,000 a pop. And so I let go of 3,000 to 5,000 that week, and it became almost 1 million, right? And so this is where I started realizing I could measure what I lose. I can see I'm letting go of the comedy club, but all of a sudden now I'm like following my heart. I'm have this unique voice that's coming through. I can say what I really believe and do one gig, way more money, and fly home. And then right after that, I had a really big agency that was taking 10% of each of these gigs. But the agency didn't get me these gigs. And I noticed that I could justify keeping this agency by being like, well, they get me auditions for movies, right? It's a huge agency. And I was like, I get auditions for movie roles, so I need to keep them. But I noticed now I was justifying them. But it's hard because I'm on such a high, like, I'm now going to let go of one of the top agencies in the world and follow the calling. It's not something that's obviously heavy. It's like most people's dream. But for me, it was like, they're taking 10% and they don't have anything to do with this. They're not in alignment. So I decided to move based on faith again and drop them. And I told them I'm letting go of them. And now I'm bigger than that age. Like I noticed there's a me that's even over that. And it also purged the part of me that wanted to get auditions and hopes that I do well and all this stuff. And then right after that, this is totally true, I get this call from a company called Gate. Jim Carrey and Eckhart Tolle have combined forces and created an event which is like what I'm told I am. I'm what would happen if Jim Carrey and Eckhart Tolle had a baby is what the idea is, a comic and a transformational speaker. And I'm suddenly invited to this event to speak there. And Jim Carrey and Eckhart Tolle are there, all these huge speakers. And the whole audience is full of Hollywood, producers, directors, everything. Because I let go of the agency and these old stories and I was so healthy and in this high alignment, I walked onto the stage and just felt completely worthy of being there in one of them, you know. And I ad-libbed a set. I walked on stage. I see Jim Carrey and Eckhart Tolle in the fourth row. And I say, this is really weird because I'm told all the time I'm what would happen if Jim Carrey and Eckhart Tolle had a baby. I said, I don't know if you guys are picturing that. I said, Eckhart, I know you're not because it's a thought and I know you don't have those. And then I said, some of you guys might think that joke's offensive, but it's in the past, so Eckhart doesn't even know about it. And the place went crazy. It was awesome. And then I started just getting offered parts and things from the audience without auditions. So when I let go of the thing that I think that I need, right? Like I need the agency to get the movies. When I let go of that, suddenly the movies come to you, right? When you let go of the, I need a person so I can feel love, then you can feel love directly and you'll find another person who actually feels love directly. When you let go of what you think you need to get somewhere else, right? Then all of a sudden you create space to actually feel it directly and then the world mirrors that. So that stemmed this event and this thing that I do called Evolving Out Loud, where I'm literally just following my heart and I'm explaining to the audience what the revelations are that I have that week that come through like I'm teaching, like I'm channeling for them, but it's also my advice for me. It's really cutting edge what I need to hear in the moment. And it has stemmed into a New York Times best-selling book. It's stemmed into a second book. Theaters, we did the Dolby Theater, 3,400 people. We've, combined on different videos in the past through different mediums, probably 100 million views. And even now I'm like, there's something even higher that's birthing, which is just me as a present father. It's way more exciting to me than anything that I've accomplished. So there's my setup. There's a combination of hopefully content meets that, but that's the truth of what's on.
Do we hold up scorecards, Sonia? I mean, I can make 10. 10.
I have so many questions. I just want to say, I just want to thank you for sharing that because it's so profoundly inspiring and just so many different levels of initiation and really hearing someone following their truth. Like I feel super blissed out just from listening. I can really feel it on like the physical level. So thank you for your embodiment.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the first question that came to me, and I think it's so interesting, like talk about the comedy and the divine comedy and the cosmic joke that you had put that intention out that the initial intention where everything started falling apart and you ended up in the hotel room.
Yeah.
But something struck me was how you were doing this motivational speech or motivational comedy. Am I correct in that?
Well, it was like I went through a first level of anxiety. I'd been a comic for 15 years, and then I was able to perform well outside while being very bored inside because I was performing every night. And I wasn't creating new stuff as much, so I was just kind of throwing stuff. And I believe that if you don't keep creating, your mind will creatively sabotage you. So inside, I started creating out of nowhere, like stage fright, even though I had been on stage for 15 years. And I ended up Tony Robbinsing my way out of it. I went from suicidal anxiety to #1 Comedy Central special. And then I got really excited about it. So I wanted to teach other comedians they could do it. So I became like this, like, I wanted to create these classes and bring other huge headliners in and teach aspiring comics how to like really like make it happen. But it was kind of like a Tony Robbins for aspiring comics. But the funny thing is my demographic usually comes based on cynicism. So the audience was a bunch of comedic open micers, you know, and then all the people that weren't coming were like, what happened to Kyle Cease? He's crazy. So I was like bringing, you know, John Lovitz was there and Louis Anderson and all these other famous comedians were teaching these young people. But I realized, why is that my market later? Like it should be the public, not, you know, not just comics. So that's what it was. It was like teaching this motivational thing. And it was like this belief that I went off the deep end. And which, by the way, the deep end's opposition is the shallow end.
Totally.
You know, like if you look at every one of the terms that we've made, like
totally, like, being in the shallow end is much better. I mean, that was like my question, I guess, right there in that moment is like, what is it do you think that like collectively makes us pathologize happiness?
That
like
makes us what?
Pathologize happiness, or like be skeptical of it. That if suddenly you're, you know, sharing this inspiration that you have and motivational, that people are immediately like, scams, Scientologists, you know, like,
yeah,
he's gone off, all the things.
Well, I think that every one of us at one level believe that something that's outside of our lens, we don't know that there's even a lens they're looking through. We don't understand that there's a lens I'm looking through. So anything outside of my lens is the end of reality, right? We don't know there's even a lens, right? We're just like, this is truth. And so when someone does something that's outside of what you know, it must be a scam. Most people think happiness is felt at the level that I feel it, right? But they aren't bringing into factors that they might be totally miserable so, you know, you could be totally depressed and see someone else happy and decide they're being fake or there's no way they're that happy. You know what I mean? And I think that what's amazing about this time is it's starting the worldwide version of the fall apart. It's in 2020 and 2021 to me there's many sad things about it, but there's many things falling apart right now that like in 2019 and earlier, most of us had the ability to have just enough money or a stagnant enough job or you know, a good enough relationship to not actually meet your soul. And what I feel like right now is happening is God is taking a collective flashlight and it's going down our chest and into our stomach, and it's going through all the trauma that we went through. It's like we're all about to go on ayahuasca slowly right now. And it's going to pull up what is not yours, that you thought was you. And if you don't know that's happening, this is going to be really scary because you might identify as that job, but God needs to take that job away so you can undo the trauma that you got from your dad or whatever that says you're nothing unless you have a job. Right? And this time is the removal of our patterns that are what we think are us, that are actually in the way of the true us, right? So if you understand that, like we're doing this call, we get to have the awareness, or you're meditating. It's like God is about to purge all of our past. And if you think that you are the past, you're going to go down with it. But if you get your just this moment, it'll be removed from you and you'll be free. which is half a question and then totally a tangent that isn't answering that.
No, I mean, I'm super happy to go on a tangent with you about how the pandemic is basically an ayahuasca ceremony. So
yeah,
anyway.
It's a 2-year silent meditation retreat. We can't even talk at the store. We're in our houses. Like, you have to think about it. It's like God's grounding the world. Like, go in and think about it. And now I'm going to make everything that was a lie come to light. Watch how you don't believe your government much louder. Watch how the news just looks totally fake. Watch how everyone starts to realize everything they've ever given authority to is bullshit, so they have to actually connect with themselves here. It's the greatest time.
Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, I've been like, I just seeing all the lessons and really witnessing, and also the part to me that's interesting from a spiritual perspective is like in this polared, I would say we've been polared in this time, a polarized mind, and just going back to like the Buddhist, like the middle path, the gray, the unknown, the uncertainty, how like unpopular that perspective is right now. And to me, like landing there is really challenging, and I'm also in the practice of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's something that's been present.
You're in the practice of landing in the gray area right now? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, trying to stay there, because I can see everyone is like, it's this or it's that, or it's, you know, it's, and even in this right now, can't wait to get back to normal. And I'm like, back to dysfunctional, A. B, it's like push the baby back in. We're birthing the new earth. I don't know. Yeah. That's how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And just a lot to hold space for.
And no matter what, it's on its way out. Like, even if they're just saying can't wait to get back to normal, like they're going to learn that's not, like, we get to just surrender that they're going to learn that. Like, there's no, many people spent last year crying and releasing pattern after pattern, and we're so much deeper into our bodies, right? And when you're saying you're having a hard time staying in the gray area, is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
If you want my thoughts on that,
I would love your thoughts. Yeah.
All I would say is you are the gray area, and the only reason you're feeling what seems like having a hard time is it's purging slowly the old stories that created the black and whiteness in the first place. So when it does that, there's a feeling of uncertainty. So you want to grab a which way, or a yes or no, or a decision, but that'll still be transcended, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? So like, just know it's just purging. And just be okay with that you're in black and white for a minute, because that's the gray area, right? Just, I'm in black and white right now, and I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And just like, I think it comes back to really trying to tune into like which voice is mine and which are these other things. And like how, one thing that I think has been showing up in the pandemic, this is a bit of a tangent, but just like the codependency of our society, and like how over involved we are with other people's opinions on how they're doing things.
Yeah. Don't you think, though, that it's so loud and obvious, like that because it's loud and obvious, it's like it's drowning? It's like that's its final level. Like, in other words, we all were before into people's opinions, but it wasn't as obvious and screaming like something drowning. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And now it's just like, I can see that it's like, it's obvious. Well, like, what I see is, what's beautiful is we're all also going to be forced to see both sides of something, right? Like, in the old days, you could just have an opinion that goes one way or another, right? Like, it was, if you think about it, like, both sides on every issue always have a point. Like abortion, for instance, right? Like, is it a bunch of old guys telling women what to do with their bodies, or is it also potentially murdering babies that just haven't come out yet? The day we can finally go, hey, both of you are right. Let's hold space for that for a second. All sides need to be seen, right? That there's a point here. And for some reason, most people could only go, I'm only understanding one side or another. But it's almost like we're lifting out of the ability to hold on to, I am this. I am this story. I am this political party. I am whatever, because you're starting to ascend higher. You're much more the now than these things. And if you thought your whole life, well, I've always been a Democrat, and my mom gave me love for being a Democrat, or I've always been this amount of money, or I've always been a protester about this thing. And then you're starting to kind of ascend out of it. You might not fully firmly believe only that way is true. So it's falling apart. So what would happen is, like the end of a relationship, it gets louder and more chaotic, and then finally it breaks off. Right? Everything that dies gets louder and crazier, and it's screaming, and we're becoming the observers of how much we're looking at everyone's patterns. We're becoming the observers of how much everything should be this way. And the loudest people are the ones that are stuck to it, and they're screaming, and it's like, no, this is for sure true. And you can feel that's not going to be sustainable for a year. You know, it's like
Something's
you're
got to
not,
give, yeah.
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 So to me, like whenever I feel something's really painful, it's falling out really quick, right? Like, or when it's really loud, it's on its way out.
Oh, it's so helpful. The drowning metaphor is really, really helpful.
Yeah.
I have
Or like one of my first guests said that if you're witnessing a birth, if you walked into the delivery room at the moment of birth, which is that for that woman, that baby, the most fantastic experience of their whole life, there's blood everywhere. You'd say, "Oh, this is terrible. This something. This would be scarred for life if you were a young child and saw this." But really, it's a new beginning. It has to be messy, you know.
Or what if you're a woman giving birth and you don't know there's a baby there? You just start screaming. Like you don't get that there's a baby inside. So you're just screaming, and you don't know why. And something's like hurting in your body, but you don't get, no one would give birth if there was no baby coming. No one would go through that horrible experience that I hear happens. I admit I don't know what it feels like, but no one would do that if they didn't have the guarantee of a baby on the other side.
Yeah.
See, if we can get aware that we're birthing something new, then we'll go through this willingly. But if we're just like thinking it's just the pain and the scary for no reason, then this is going to be a horrifying experience. And then eventually you'll notice there's a baby.
Right.
Wow. So good.
Right? Like, it's another analogy that I had that felt really cool was I did on a talk recently, is that imagine that all of humanity has been swimming at the top of a 12-foot pool. There's 12 feet of water, and imagine every person's holding onto a rope on the top of the pool that goes to the bottom of the pool. That's anchored in the bottom, right? And imagine this pool is your old story. It's your control. This rope is your control, your control of others, your past identity, your addictions, right? And imagine 2020 was the water levels rising. So if you're going to swim, you have to let go of the rope. Imagine that the collective water level is at 16 feet, 17 feet, and there's people who are trying to control everything, people that are trying to control the world. They're still at 12 feet. But there's people that are collectively swimming to 16, 17 feet. So you get this opportunity to let go of your story to make it, right? And it's a survival technique now to make it. You have to let go of, I am that person's spouse. I am that job. I am that, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Old stories.
Just float. You have a great time, you know? No change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you've had that, I'm sorry, there's a garbage truck outside. When you guys ask a question, I'll mute my mic for a second. Yeah, and it's painful for a second to let go of it if you've held that rope your entire life.
Sure.
Would you have any advice? Because I imagine this is something that I'm interested in it, and I think a lot of people in this moment are navigating it. If you're staying in this space of uncertainty, if you're trying to really be like, I'm just in witness, trying to stay in that space of the dispassionate observer. But because control is such having a moment right now, and one of the ways that anyone is exerting their own anxiety is trying to control others and putting these opinions on, how do you armor yourself to stay in the neutral space when judgments are coming around about that?
So one thing I believe is that everything we feel annoyed about or triggered by outside of us is trying to show us something inside. It actually has nothing to do with what's outside. So I've worked with thousands of different people, and I noticed this thing where they'll be like, it's just so annoying when my sister blah, blah, blah. And I'll be like, what do you feel? And they're like, I feel so mad that she blah, blah, blah. And the focus keeps going on her or the circumstance versus the feeling. But there's a feeling there. So if they go, I feel really sad about it. And then I go, okay, now take the sister out. You feel sad, right? Like take the circumstance out. You feel sad. And then I have them say, and I also, what else do you feel? And they notice they're finally connecting to their body versus staring outside. And I go, okay, so now what do you feel? I feel mad. I feel unseen. Okay. And then I have them say this. You're allowed to feel unseen in my body. You're allowed to feel mad in my body. See, most of us think that when we feel guilt, shame, alone, lost, that we're not supposed to feel that. So we judge it while it comes up versus just opening our body and being like, welcome, guilt. You're not even about this current circumstance. You're a feeling that I felt as a child another time, and I've created a false identity to make sure I never feel that again. So now life is triggering those things that are actually getting you closer to you. So any circumstance that's happening outside is trying to teach us what hurts inside. Like here's an example that happened for me recently. My daughter's mom and I, we're not together, but we're dear friends. And not too long ago, I took my daughter back to her mom's house to, drop her back off to her mom. And her mom wasn't there. And she wasn't there, but she was, probably a couple minutes from being there. There's nothing wrong at all. But my body felt like this, there was specifically for my body, this darkness. There was so much more, how could she, and pain in my body. And I was like looking at it, I was like, why? Luckily I've done enough work to be like, why is this feeling like this? Like, why is it? And I sat with it and I was like, I feel abandoned for my daughter, but really it's me. And then I remembered when I was a kid, and there was a time where I was sick at school, and I went to the nurse's office, and the nurse called my mom to pick me up. I went to the bathroom for a second, and my mom walked into the nurse's office, and the nurse said, oh, he must have gone home. So my mom left. I come out of the bathroom, and they go, your mom just left. Cut to me running after my mom's car and just not quite getting her attention. And I'm sick, and I'm chasing my mom home, and she doesn't see me. She doesn't look in the rearview mirror. And I just have this moment where I'm like this sick kid trying so hard to be seen by my mom. And she's at a stop sign, and I'm like running up to it, and then she turns right, and she's just always out of my view. It was the most traumatic thing. It was so painful to just not quite and create this feeling like I'm going to be unloved, or believe in your body that you'll never see her again, like some weird thing. That was still unseen in my body. So how many things when we have a traumatic moment as a child do we create so we never feel that way? And that's a false identity. Like if you felt unworthy with your dad over money, then you're going to build a business unconsciously so you never have to feel that again. You're literally creating a business out of not feeling unworthy. And so my pain with her not being there is not because she wasn't there. It's because I had an unseen pattern still sitting in my body.
Wow.
That felt abandoned. And when I do this work with now thousands and thousands of people, there's not one person that can show me a trigger about now that I can't take them to. That's something that was unresolved as a child.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
That's like doing, real. Yeah, I mean, if everyone was like this, imagine what the world would be, It'd be fantastic.
Well, it's quite like, it really reminds me a lot of like the nonviolent communication. Just like really getting into the feeling of any moment as a way to peace, really to create more peace on earth. Because if we're accepting accountability for what's happening inside and how it might be linked to other things as opposed to outwardly projecting it, then immediately the whole process of conversation and becomes a lot more easy to resolve.
It's so weird you say that, because I just was also saying this thing about what I call your oneness percentage, meaning like if you look at any given day, if you take 100% of your day and say, how much of this time am I focused on something outside of me? And how much of this time am I asking what this is bringing up for me, or what this feels like for me? And some people that are really in a place of blame and anger would say, 95% is outside. You know what I mean? But then when we do this work, you start to be 95% inside, right? Like, oh, that's happening right now. There's a riot outside, or there's a, whatever. What's this bringing up for me? What in me feels unloved? What in me feels unseen? Right? And the more you start to heal those things, I think the more you start to realize the entire world is mirroring you. Like it's literally you. Like, because every time I heal a wound and cry something out, I notice the whole world suddenly like that. Like everyone around me is crying that day. The clients have the exact same issue. It's like, I actually think that it's a mirror of the unseen thing, and that you're encoded with information that actually creates the world. So that's what the thing is blocking, right?
Big time. And to me, it's also like the answer to the victim, which, like, of course, my ego loves victim. Everyone's ego, to a certain extent, loves, like, this is happening to me. But in being like, okay, what actually is happening right now? How is it potentially happening, of course, for me? And that being actually the answer to getting outside of the victim.
Do you have a thing that you're like working on right now, or that you're like triggered by or stuck with or anything? Because I can do a thing with you if you want.
Ooh, okay. I'm trying to think. What is the thing I'm working on? I'm not like super present to the victim right now. That's definitely something that's been for me in the past, that I've been like, oh, that was just keeping me for many years in a place of disempowerment. Who am I triggered by right now? There has to be someone I can think of in the last 24 hours.
Or even trying to release, or something you're confused about or stuck on or moving towards.
I'm definitely trying to release, like, I don't know. Jack, do you want to take this one?
No, this is going this is going to be a great moment. This is real spontaneous, turn into a therapy session. But be aware that this is going to be broadcast, so before you get too personal.
I know, that's kind of where I'm going with this, is I'm like,
well, let's talk about a dear friend of yours who's having this problem.
Well, it's actually whatever, even if it's not, it doesn't have to be like divulge some giant private thing, but definitely it's your thing is better. Even though I get what you're doing, Jack, but like what I will want to do is go into her patterns, right? So it could be like, just like, I feel unloved about a money situation, or I feel stuck in a thing with, and by the way, also you don't have to, but.
No, something I can say, and maybe like a coded way, is like, without exposing too much, it's just like fear of judgment around certain decisions I'm making is showing up, and wanting the approval of others, and knowing that I'm not going to get it.
Okay, and how do you feel about that?
Oh, I feel worried. I feel heavy. Yeah.
So allow that to be there, because basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to get approval to avoid a heaviness that's trying to come up in your body. So at the moment, getting their approval would actually be in the way of it being released. It'd be like if you had to go to the bathroom and then you go, I don't have to go to the bathroom right now, or I can hold it as long as I have love from the outside, right?
Oh.
And I'm like, well, you still have to go. So a lot of times people are like, if I just need to get money, because I associate that I'm worthy from a parent, or that I'm enough, right? And we're saying that if I don't have that, then I'm not. That we need to become a space for and look at, right? So in other words, what we're actually wanting approval from is, and the reason we want it is to block the heaviness that's in your body from coming out. We don't realize that. But that heaviness that's in your body, there's nothing in your body that's heavy that won't eventually come out. And it'll come out through your acceptance of it, not your shame of it or you're trying to change it, right? So what instead of getting the approval, I want to push the approval away for a minute and have you look right at the heaviness, right? Where's the heaviness? Where do you feel it, first of all?
I can definitely feel it in the solar plexus area of my body and in my throat.
Okay, so take a deep breath in for a second. And I want you to just say this. You're allowed to feel heavy in my body.
I'm allowed to feel heavy in my body.
Yeah, and you can say this to it too, because it's actually a pattern. It's not even you. Meaning like this is a pattern, not you. Because this thing will leave at one point and you'll still exist. So there's no way you could be this thing, right? So when we say I'm heavy, we're wrong. It's heavy. Do you hear what I'm saying? So you get to say to her, you are allowed to feel heavy in my body.
You are allowed to feel heavy in my body.
Yeah. Now take a deep breath in and receive that for a minute.
You are allowed to feel heavy in my body.
Yeah. And what does she feel like right now? Because usually, check this out, when she feels heavy, she's trying to tell you, I feel heavy. And instead of you being there with her, you go to approval from outside. So imagine if my 3-year-old daughter said, I feel unloved. And right when she did that, I pivoted away from her and chased the neighbor's approval. Right? She'd feel more unloved. Do you get what I'm saying?
Totally.
And this is how we all treat ourselves. So it's okay. You know what I mean? But this is what we all do. We oh, you feel unapproved of? Okay. I need to get money. And they're like, no, just be with me. And if she's allowed to feel heavy, it'll start to alchemize and become light, right?
So Kyle, when you're walking down the street or you're getting a message, like, you know, this memory comes up or something, I mean, do you not listen to the voice in your head so much? You try, or do you listen, you observe the voice, or how is it working inside?
I meditate a ton, first of all. Like I meditate sometimes 2 hours a day, sometimes 4, sometimes 1, you know, but like this morning I woke up and had a big meditation.
You're following the breath, or you're doing a mantra?
No, actually it's literally doing nothing. It's not even following the breath. I can do that a little bit, but one of the things that happens when I meditate is like you're just listening, and then like something comes up and it starts to hurt, right? Or you feel off, or something feels like when do we get done, right? And we're under the illusion that somewhere else is better than now. And we will start to feel pain because a pattern that you thought was you yesterday could be coming to the surface right now. So the more that I listen to the now, the more that I notice that it purges the patterns, the more it literally takes the patterns and the old things that are breaking off, and it causes them to come to light, and your acceptance of them causes them to leave. So I listen less to the thoughts in my head about the external now, and much more of my time is on the internal. But on the other side of it leaving, the world just moves around you and you're much more present, right? So that heaviness that Sonia's feeling at one point will be accepted and seen, because its heaviness is actually a pointer to a time she didn't feel approval in her childhood. And when she didn't feel approval, no matter what someone else said, you could not feel approval based on a parent turning around for 5 minutes, right? Or whatever. So it's not judgment to anyone else. But that pain was so big in her trauma that she created, I need to get approval so I don't feel this heaviness anymore. So I'm doing certain things with the intention of getting approval. And by the way, every one of us does this. This isn't like, oh, so Sonia's blah, blah, blah. But like, if we could like walk around with the heaviness that we feel, or the unseen, or the aloneness, or the pain, and bring it to light right here, right? And walk around for the day with it almost like exposed, where you can see that it's there. It'll eventually just be seen, and something higher than your ego will transcend it. The space that you actually are will transcend it. And you then connect more to the space. And our job is to do that a little bit more every day. Does that make sense?
Yes. And I did notice, like, on just a somatic level, that when I was doing the affirmation, like, I could feel that something was shifting. Like, you know, it was not like it's dissolving, but I was like, oh, wow, just in saying that affirmation and creating like this space of presence, I can feel that there's like a little something happening there as well.
Yeah. And what is it showing you right now? Like if you're feeling something there, it's almost like, think of this, you're thinking with more of your body now. Do you know what I mean? You're not like just here. It's all of you, right? Like we're going to a space that's so big that it can even bring the trauma up, right? So you're in this place where you're seeing things. Most of the spiritual community has taught us to only focus on the positive and avoid the darkness. And you being with your darkness is the highest place to get you to your positive, right? So a lot of positive thinking is actually the negation of your darkness. So we create this, everyone just think happy and be whatever. And meanwhile, you're ignoring half of yourself. So you're not able to really hear the universe. There's, by the way, in this now, there are $1 million ideas, nothing but worthiness, total freedom, right? The whole thing, right? Versus us being avoidant of half of our body while thinking positive thoughts, right? Like that's what's trying to birth, I think, in the world right now. I feel like I've talked so much. I hope.
No, it's been amazing. I'm like super blissed out, and also I just feel like it's such an interesting like way to circle back to the original things we were talking about like black and white thinking, and it shows up to in the spiritual community of it's like it's either light or it's shadow, as opposed to like it's all God, or like it's all accepted, you know. So I think they're mirroring the same thing.
I've seen that too, where people are like, I got to do all the shadow work. So they're only there. And there's like a push away of the light. You know what I mean? And it's like acknowledge you can totally be in your optimism and see everything is good while also acknowledging everything just is right now. Or you can totally be in your darkness while also accepting the light that you have too. That's where I find nothing but magic happens. So and I have days where I'm in massive pain and I'm just like, okay, I'm supposed to be in pain because it's purging a new thing, you know? And then I'm like, what's on the other side of that? So I'm wide open to it and I just suffer for a while knowingly and meditate a lot, and then it comes out and then you're like more here and more free. The world's better.
Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and also running me through that. And I did want to tell you one thing before we say goodbye, because when I looked up, when we were planning on this, and I kind of did some research on you, and I saw, first thing I was like, oh, we need to interview Kyle because also we have the same birthday.
We do?
And, yes, I'm a September 19th.
Wow.
And I just wanted to share with you, I'm sure you know this because it seems like you'd be interested in this thing. Like the numerology of 919, it's all about transformation and beginnings and endings. So
is it? Oh, it's all about what? It's about what in endings?
Beginnings and endings. Like 9 is the last number before it goes into the double digits, and it represents endings and completion and willingness to walk over into that field of transformation.
It's weird because my last name means ending.
Like, really? Yeah, oh, yeah, of course. It is.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I realized that at one point. I'm literally about everything, you know, letting things die is a huge thing for me. And so it's funny you say that that's about endings. And it's so nice to meet you guys. Are either of you guys ever in LA, or is you're in Costa Rica, Sonia? Where are you, Jack?
I'm in Italy, but Sonia lives in LA as well when she's not in Costa Rica.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I'll be here in May. So we'll be back in May.
Well, let's go hang out.
Yeah, I'd love to reconnect with you. This was such a joy. Thank you, Jack.
No, thank you. And I'm sorry we didn't get to talk, because I was spending a lot of time researching you, Carl, and your fascinating story, and just maybe I would just feel my listeners lost out a bit not hearing that, but they'll just have to go, you know, how you kind of I kind of noticed how you kind of accelerated through life, and I've noticed some other people who've done that, who've had awakenings. They kind of just had this urge to rush to do everything and achieve, and then just as if they had to get it done and get out of the way, you know, in 20 years or whatever. And how you've just kind of, you know, because when you introduced yourself, you made it sound like that you had this kind of awakening one day, but really, when you look back over what you've always had, this thing where you've been like in the moment, you know, on stage, because that's where you had to live. You know, you had to be in the moment constantly to make people laugh. And so you've been working to this point that you are now, and I think you really deserve, you know, a lot of credit for that. And It's a fascinating story, you know.
It's been a really crazy life. I mean, I'm acclimated to it because it's mine and I'm used to it, but it's also trippy when I really look at it.
But you had you won that. You thanked the bookers by name, which is such an original way to do it. You also had a podcast where you thanked everyone who voted for you on the Comedy Central, so just an original way to do things. You know, always you've been doing this, so that's super inspiring. How you find this new approach for everything. So
yeah, I mean, if you listen long enough, it gives you the steps. And what I believe is we need to leave the world of what should I do, which is what a collection of other people's egos taught you to be, and move to what am I here to do? Like, what do you want? You know, because it's always, if I listen long enough, it's always like, here's the next step, here's the next step. And people always say stuff like, well, Kyle, I'd love to do that, but what about money? And it's so funny because it implies money's not a part of Source. And
energy. It's just
when you follow that highest, you're going to be shocked at how abundant you are, really.
So we have to work together with Sonia now on a song remotely. We're probably doing it for about a month from now, and it'll magically appear at the end of the song. But I think we've got enough lyrics to sum it up. But is there a particular thing you'd like it, or just about what we spoke about?
I'm a musician too. I mean, I sing and stuff, so I'm excited to hear. Am I staying on for this? Is that what you said?
No, we work together remotely now.
Okay, got it. Okay,
it's a long process of recording and writing.
I thought we're doing another thing. I'm learning the format as I go.
We can do that, but I think I prefer we go away into the silence and let it all just come out and But I'm super inspired, so it shouldn't be a problem.
Letting my 10 know that I'm coming. So awesome. Well, you guys are beautiful people. It was so wonderful to meet both of you.
Thanks, Kyle.
Yeah.
Thank you both. This is so lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. So wonderful to meet you. And Sonia, when you're back in LA, Jack, maybe you can give her my info.
Okay, we'll do.
Yeah, I'd love to connect.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Me too. You guys have good hearts and are good people. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for the inspiration.
All right. Thank you. Talk soon.
Bye.
Adios.
Bye. Just be leaving here any second.
That's the whole part of the show, this awkward silence too. I'm going to keep this in. It's gold.
I'm hitting the leave button and nothing's happening. Now it's brought up a dictionary for some reason. This is really true. I'll just exit.
All right. Well, that was fantastic, Sonia.
Oh, that was so enjoyable. Thank you for inviting me to be a part of it.
No worries. I think you chose him because you had this connection. So I think I really saw that. So I was happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, that was so easy. I had no idea what to expect. I was a little nervous.
Yeah. Well, he's such a fascinating guy. I mean, we didn't even touch the tip of the iceberg. He was focused on his message, but really.
Yeah, I mean, from what I saw, I watched a few videos of his just because I didn't know how much to prepare, and I'm sure because you've probably been on the opposite side of interviews for your own music, but how much to prepare versus how much to just allow. And based on all the videos I watched, he's very much in the moment in that way. So I'm not surprised that it kind of
super in the moment
flowed. That was such a high vibe trio.
Yeah. Okay, so let's channel this into a song.
Yeah, great. So what's your process? You're gonna send me some ideas or something, or how's that work?
Yeah, let's bounce them back. If you get some ideas, record them, and likewise, and then we'll let it flow, let it birth.
Sounds good.
Great. Have a great day. Bye, Sonia.
Well, I never had a sense of a road, no. And I gave up all my knowing a long time ago. Yeah, I tried to let go of what I could not hold. a love that wouldn't rely on anyone else is choosing me. This love never dies. Yeah, I tried to let go of what wasn't love. So many times I had to let go. So many times I had to let go of so many lies. I had to let go of so many, so many, so many, so many, so many lies. So many times had to let go. Well, I walked to the end, gave my breath to the stars. What if the thing that I want the most is breaking my heart? Well, I tried and I tried to accept what is hard. Yeah, I tried to accept what is hard. I had to let go so many times. I had to let go of so many lives, so many lives.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show and the song. If you want to hear the song again, it's available on all music streaming services or for a $1 download from podsongs.com. You can also subscribe there for our newsletter, for all other news and updates. A big thanks to our musical production team here in Italy, Maurizio Sanecola, Massimino Vozza, and Luigi Falcione, and my researcher, Dori Verbo. Please help us by sending this episode to your friends, sharing it on social media, and reviewing it wherever you can. I also have another show to listen to. It's called The Mystic Cast, and it's about spirituality, UFOs, mysticism, the occult, and the Etheria Society, the teachings of which led me to start this project, serving the servers, helping those who help others. Thanks again for tuning in. Have a great day.